Hello YouTubers, I am Dragonhawk Mark 7. I am here to show you the homemade M9 slot. So, M9 plastic slot.
One of the last people to see Cynthia was her friend Angela, who told Cynthia's father she dropped her off here at a nearby park.
The investigation led the FBI to a house here in Harrison County. Neighbors say they're shocked and that this just goes to show you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
Her name was Cynthia Hoffman, but everyone who loved her called her Cece. She was 19 years old and lived in Anchorage with her father, Timothy, a contractor who built things with his hands and raised his daughter with the same quiet care and intention. Cynthia had a developmental disability that placed her at a younger emotional age than her years. Timothy understood her vulnerability. He drove her to school every morning and picked her up every afternoon. He called her every hour in between. He knew the world could take advantage of someone as open and trusting as Cynthia. He stayed close because of it. Then, one afternoon, she came home with a brightness on her face that Timothy had not seen before. The look of someone who has finally been found. "Dad, I finally have a friend," she told him. Her name was Denali, a classmate 18 years old. Denali had chosen her, and for Cynthia, that was everything. On the morning of Sunday, June 2nd, 2019, Denali called Cynthia with a simple invitation. They were going on a hike, a day out with a few friends, fresh air and open trails, the kind of easy thing that young people do on a free Sunday. Cynthia said yes without a second thought. The destination was Thunderbird Falls, a well-known trail area in Chugiak, 27 miles northeast of Anchorage. It sits above the Eklutna River, wooded and quiet. The kind of place families visit on weekends. The group arrived and walked out along the trail together. At some point, they left the marked path. They moved off the trail and descended through the trees toward the bank of the Eklutna River below, deeper into the woods, away from other hikers, away from the route back to the car. They reached the riverbank. They stopped. Cynthia Hoffman did not come home that evening. That night, a text message arrived on the Hoffman family's phone from Denali. It said, "We dropped her off at a park." Timothy Hoffman waited for his daughter to come home. When she did not, he called her phone. No answer. He called again. He drove to the park mentioned in the text and walked through it, calling her name. She was not there. He reported his daughter missing to the Anchorage Police Department that night and went home to wait in a house that was too quiet. The next morning, Monday, June 3rd, Cynthia Hoffman's body was recovered from the Eklutna River. She was still bound with duct tape at her wrists and ankles. She was 27 miles from home, at the foot of the trail where she had gone hiking the day before with her friends.
Mike and Alexis, police found the body of 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman last night near Thunderbird Falls. She was bound, shot, and placed in a river.
So for her to not call was a big red flag that something terrible had happened, because she would have called. And Tim and I were talking, and he says, I know something bad has happened. I know she's dead. He can feel it in his bones. It's just such a waste of a life. She's a kid.
Cynthia's body was located Tuesday evening in the river near Thunderbird Falls.
We're still investigating to find out exactly why she was bound and then why she ultimately was shot.
The only thing I can imagine is she was yelling her daddy's name. And it goes through my head over and over and over again.
The medical examiner's findings were precise and devastating. Cause of death, a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. Execution style. She had not fallen. She had not drowned. She had been bound, shot at close range from behind, and put into the water. There was no evidence of sexual assault. This was a deliberate killing, carried out by someone she had trusted enough to follow off the trail into the trees. The Anchorage Police Department Timothy Hoffman was told that morning that his daughter, who had come home glowing because she had finally found a friend, was gone. Detectives traced Cynthia's last known movements directly to the friends she had spent Sunday with.
We're still investigating to find out exactly why she was bound and then why she ultimately was shot.
The only thing I can imagine is she was yelling her daddy's name. And it goes through my head over and over and over again.
Police say Cynthia's resistance to whatever her and her friends were mixed up in likely got her killed. Shot, then tossed in the river after she panicked and threatened to call police. Threatened to call for help.
This time I couldn't keep my daughter safe. I feel that I let her down because I keep all my kids safe.
Denali Bramer, a 16-year-old named Caden McIntosh, a 19-year-old named Caleb Leyland, and 2 others who were both minors. McIntosh was brought in first. He was 16 years old and he spoke quickly. He said he remembered shooting Cynthia and putting her in the river. He confirmed that Bramer had organized the entire plan and brought the weapon to the trail that day.
Hello YouTubers, I am Jack of Mark 7. I am here to show you the homemade M9 slide. So, M9 plastic slide.
When investigators examined Bramer's phone, everything opened up at once. They found SMS texts, Snapchat messages, photographs, and video footage. A trail of digital evidence exchanged between Bramer and a phone number that traced back to a Facebook account in Indiana. That account was built on a false name and carried a photograph of a man who was not the account's owner. The FBI followed the number across state lines to New Salisbury, Indiana, and to a 21-year-old man named Darren Mitchell Schillmiller, unemployed, living in his grandparents' basement with no money and no life that resembled the one he had constructed online. Darren had been running a fake identity for months. On Facebook, he called himself Tyler. He told Bramer he was a millionaire from Kansas who had recently won the lottery, and he used a stolen photograph of another man to give the lie a face. Through ongoing Snapchat and Facebook conversations, he had built enough of a hold over Bramer to make her an offer, $9 million in exchange for killing someone and sending him the proof through Snapchat in real time. Photographs and videos sent as it happened, so he could watch from Indiana. Bramer was arrested. At first she said very little, then detectives told her the truth about Tyler, that no millionaire existed, that there was no Kansas, no $9 million. Darren had no money and never did. The promise had been empty from the very first message. She had bound her best friend with duct tape, filmed her on the ground at the riverbank, and sent that footage live to a man sitting in Indiana who had nothing to give her and never intended to give her anything at all. She broke. She told investigators everything, the weeks of planning messages with Darren, how he had named Cynthia as the target, how she had recruited McIntosh to pull the trigger, Leyland to provide the car with a promise of $500,000, and 2 other minors whose names the law would permanently seal. She described sending Snapchat photographs of Cynthia bound on the ground at the riverbank, then more images and video after the shot was fired, the real-time proof Darren had demanded. Bramer had also separately confessed the killing in a Snapchat video of her own, which investigators recovered as evidence. Every piece of digital proof, messages, photographs, footage, connected directly to Darren's devices in Indiana. Investigators also found that after the murder, Darren directed Bramer to assault a child and a 15-year-old, and had been soliciting child sexual abuse material from her through Snapchat throughout their entire relationship. Both Darren and Bramer later pleaded guilty to a separate federal charge of conspiracy to produce child pornography.
I don't think anybody thought he would ever kill anybody, but the child pornography, definitely, he had a problem there.
Jaden Poley went to middle school and high school with Schillmiller, and she told KTUU he'd had a reputation for being a little off and increasingly a little creepy.
He's asked numerous girls from my high school for pictures of their kids.
KTUU found numerous online profiles for Schillmiller spanning many years across multiple social media platforms. The common theme, a strong desire to find friends and connect with women. She said at one point, using the name Austin, Schillmiller confessed, quote, "I have a problem I want to tell someone and I don't know how." And he then asked for pictures, she said, of her daughters during diaper changes as a condition of revealing the secret. Arnold caught on, and cut things off.
16-year-old has been charged with the murder. The victim, 19-year-old Cynthia Hoffman, was killed on Thunderbird Falls Trail on June 2nd. According to the findings from the investigation, Hoffman went to the trail with 16-year-old Caden McIntosh and a friend, later identified as Denali Bramer. The three walked to a riverbank where Hoffman was reportedly bound with duct tape to pose for pictures. Investigators say that after an altercation, McIntosh shot Hoffman in the back of the head, pushed her body into the river, and fled with Bramer.
Darren was arrested in Indiana and extradited to Alaska. Leyland was taken into custody. The two juvenile participants were moved through the juvenile court system, their names permanently sealed by law. 6 people had known that Cynthia Hoffman was going to be killed. Not one of them had warned her. All 6 were now facing the justice system. And at the center of everything sat a man who had never met the girl, never been to Alaska, and had watched her die through a Snapchat screen from a basement 1,500 miles away.
A man accused in a murder conspiracy case has pleaded not guilty.
Judge Andrew Peterson presided over all 4 adult sentencing hearings. At each one, the same Snapchat video was entered into evidence. The footage Bramer had filmed of Cynthia's final moments at the riverbank, still bound on the ground. The judge watched it every time. He later said it was one of the most difficult pieces of evidence he'd ever had to watch in his position on the bench. Timothy Hoffman attended every single hearing. He wore his black leather jacket. He carried his small dog, Diego. He held a photograph of Cynthia beside him and did not put it down. His family described her to the court: gentle, vibrant, trusting. A young woman whose disability meant she could not read danger in the people around her, who gave her trust openly because she knew no other way to be. Her disability had made her want friends desperately. Judge Peterson called the murder tragic and senseless, and noted that Bramer had shown zero remorse after the killing and had gone on to commit further criminal acts at Darren's direction. To Schillmiller, he said, "You plotted to kill somebody you never met, for no reason other than the sheer thrill of controlling others and seeing it be done."
The court should find that Miss Bremer engaged in one of the most serious crimes that we have in Alaska. She executed Cynthia Hoffman in a murder for hire plot. She conspired with numerous other individuals in and outside of Alaska, including juveniles, forever altering everybody's life. She may not have pulled the trigger, but this never would have happened if it weren't for Denali Bremer.
Denali Bremer pleaded guilty to murder in the first degree. In February 2024, she was sentenced to 99 years in prison.
The hurt I caused you and your family, I can never rectify in any way. I understand it hurts. You lost a precious child, and the community lost a daughter as well. I am truly sorry for my role in your loss.
Darren Mitchell Schillmiller, mastermind. Indiana, fake persona. Tyler, on Facebook. Using stolen photograph solicitation to commit murder. First degree. Not eligible for parole until age 70. Sentenced January 11th, 2024, 99 years. Denali, Dakota. Sky Bremer coordinator. Filmed and sent live Snapchat footage to Schillmiller during the killing. Murder in the first degree. Pleaded guilty. February 2023. Maximum sentence under Alaska law. Sentenced February 12th, 2024, 99 years. Caden Brian McIntosh shooter. Age 16 at time of crime. Tried as adult murder in the second degree. Final defendant sentenced. November 14th, 2025, 70 years. Caleb Allen Russell Leyland accomplice. Provided the car. Promised $500,000 murder in the second degree.
Darren Schillmiller never spoke at his sentencing hearing. Instead, his attorney read a letter in which Schillmiller acknowledged what he did to Cynthia Hoffman, known as Cece, was wrong.
Every single day since the death of Cece, I have felt extremely horrible and wanted to apologize as well.
But the state showed little compassion for his tears or the fact that Schillmiller had been diagnosed with a low IQ, saying he was smart enough to fool Denali Bremer online and manipulate her to carry out the murder.
He convinced her that he was a 20-year-old good-looking young man that had won the lottery, had millions of dollars, and he used that money to dangle in front of her and get her to do whatever he wanted.
He too was sentenced to 99 years in prison.
Frankly, Mr. Schillmiller enjoyed it.
He could have given him as few as 5 years, but gave him 99 to serve.
I've been waiting for a long time, and I'm ready. It's going to be a bunch of rounds from now until it's over, but I won't miss one. But I have to hold back my emotions to show no emotions to support my family. At this time, I do not care about his. I'm out for one thing and one thing only, and that's justice, and that's to make them rot in jail where all them people could send them to hell. I'm going for the full 99 years, but I ain't gonna stop coming until everybody hears my cry. It won't be an emotional one. It'll be one that the good Lord will be on my side, and it's already nationwide, and I'm sure there's a lot of people on my side. In that case, the judge has to hear it. They all ought to stay in these courts, put the age aside, and give them what they rightly deserve. They planned all this. A few of them even came to my house. To come into my house as friends for my daughter and to do what they did to her, I am backing off of this. I've told everybody together, and then myself, I work 12 hours a day to keep it out of my mind, but it never leaves it. When they made the statement about the first-degree murders and all them other ones, I wanted to stand up and tell the judge that was my daughter. But this case is about child pornography, and so until I have the right to stand up and say something, I'll keep my calm. I read on Channel 11 that they ought to let Mr. Hoffman be put in a room 30 minutes with him. And that'd been nice. But I'll still go with my faith, not revenge. I'll let justice do his job. Back in the day, I would have probably flew down there and brought him up myself, willingly or unwillingly. Nowadays, I'm a parent, I'm responsible, I'm all about my children, and it's all about family. And that's the only thing I stand up for.
June 2nd, 2024. 5 years to the day after his daughter was murdered, Timothy Hoffman led a memorial motorcycle ride in her memory. His wife, Barbara, rode with him. She had finally found enough ground beneath her grief to join, to do something that honored Cynthia rather than only mourned her. West of Wasilla, Timothy lost control of the motorcycle. He was pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. He was 58 years old. Barbara survived, seriously injured. Caden McIntosh, the teenager who pulled the trigger, would not face a judge until November 14th, 2025.
To hear you knocking at the door.
All I know is no parent. I buried a child.
What she would have felt that day. And right now I just feel anger, sadness.
We happened to be born on the exact same day. So we shared a lot of birthdays, a lot of great birthdays together.
Take my body.
Not a year is gonna pass where my birthday cake isn't gonna have Cynthia's name on it.
For all we can do is keep it in our hearts and memories and think of all the good times we've had with her.
I'm glad we found everybody that was involved. So now she can rest in peace. I love you, Cynthia.
All I need is...
Timothy was not there for it. Cynthia Hoffman was 19 years old. She had a developmental disability. She had a father who called her every hour. She did not make a single mistake. She said yes to a hike with her best friend on a Sunday morning, and she never came home. She just wanted friends.